I'm glad to see so many people interested in soft performance. So welcome, and thank you for being here. Before I start, I'd like to say a few words about Dimiter Simov, usability and user experience, and then soft performance. I am Dimiter Simov. Everybody calls me Jimmy. So if you don't know me and want to talk to me, yeah, you can call me Jimmy. I work in the field of usability and user experience, and this is for like 15 or more years now. I've been very lucky to be one of the first people in Bulgaria to start working in this field. And ever since 1998, when I discovered the field, I've been popularizing usability because it has become my goal in life. I want everything to be usable. And then, what is usability? Has any of you heard about usability? Quite a few people, good. Well, then you know that usability is a measure. It's a characteristic, something that we can measure and decide whether a product, a thing, is easy to use by other people. This can be whether people successfully achieve their tasks, how quickly they do it, how satisfied they are with this. So all this is usability. And then comes user experience. I guess many of you have heard about user experience. Anyone? Yeah, it looks like more people have heard about user experience than usability. Well, user experience is almost the same as usability, but not quite. User experience is more encompassing. It is something that we cannot measure, because it's in our minds. The experience is what we feel about the product. Of course, we can think about it, we can design for better user experience, but I don't think we can measure it. And with this little opening thing, I want to go into the soft performance thingy. And I have here two definitions that I found on Google Define. And then it says, well, performance, it's a task or operation seen in terms of how successfully it is performed. Is this the performance that we talk about all the time? Or the capabilities of a machine, product, or vehicle? This is more like the performance that we have in mind when talking about the performance of a machine, performance of a software product. I'm sure that you are all very well familiar with the hardware part of this. The capabilities of machine, you know how to measure speeds, how to make load tests and other things. But I'm going to focus on the first definition. I'm going to focus on performance from the point of view of people. And my goal today is to show you that bytes and seconds, so things that we can measure this hard way, are not the only way to think about performance. And I also give some pieces of advice that you can use in your everyday work. And of course, I want to make this point that seconds are very important. This is a small chart that shows how many seconds people wait before they leave a page. Back in 2000, people used to wait on average 8 seconds. In 2009, this has changed to 3 seconds. So we are getting more impatient. So performance in terms of how quickly things happen, how quickly the computer performs, is important. But now let's move. Please read this text. No? This is very important. Please read the text. Difficult. Okay, read this text. With which of the two do you perform better? The second one. Okay. What are the problems with this text? You didn't like it. Why? Any ideas? Not structured. No, it is structured. It has sentences.
But you cannot grasp with
Ah, you cannot brush it with one. Okay. You cannot find them. Why? No, they are there. Not highlighted. Okay. What did you say? Too many words. So what's wrong with too many words? Dostoevsky used to write big books. He used many words. And I remember the Arch-Chancellor of Austria once said to Mozart that a piece of his had too many notes. Is that bad? Well, yes, there are problems with this text. And that italics, did you see that it's in italics? And reading in italics is harder than reading in normal font. So don't use italics. Low contrast. It's pale gray on white background. So put strain on the eyes. It's small font size. Again, stray on the eyes. Actually, this screen is too big, and I should have made the font even smaller. Justified alignment. That's a problem too. It impedes reading speed because the eyes need white space in order to make their way across the text. And when the text is justified, there are no anchor points at the right end. It's a block of text. See, again, no white space. It just goes this way. No highlighting of keywords. You notice that. You cannot understand what's the important thing. And it's too wordy. We don't want to read this text. So when you think about soft performance or performance, you have to think about text and formatting. So, and the truth is that texts that are written and formatted well are easier to read, easier to understand. Here's an example that I want to share with you. This is a text that was the resume of a homepage of a website about Nebraska. The goal of that site was to attract tourists to Nebraska. And the text read like this. Yeah, it's a short piece. You can get an idea. So some people made a research with this. So they had users read this text. They measured how quickly they did it, how well they understood it. And they started playing around with the text. First, they cut it in half, and then measured again, and achieved 58% better readability. Now, what they did is made the text more scannable. The difference here is that they put this list as bulleted points, and again achieved 47% better readability. Then they made the language objective. That means they removed words such as Nebraska has internationally recognized attractions. When we read words like this, we start mentally arguing with that. Is Nebraska really internationally recognized thing? So when you have the marketing push some text with some nice-looking words into them, well, pay attention. And then they combined all the three approaches, and they achieved 124% better readability. So my piece of advice for you about text and formatting, well, get some training. If you don't know how to write, well, think about it. Use big fonts. They are easier to read. Put the important thing at the top, because we read from top to bottom. And what we are most likely to read in a text is what is in the beginning. Highlight the important objects. Why so? Because we scan the text. We don't start reading from the bottom and go down. We first take a look at the whole thing and then go down. So if we highlight the important things, it's more likely that users will see them. And again, less is more. Write less. Reduce the amount of text that you give people. Now, something else. Your mouse is in the center, on the red point, and I guess it's quite easy to understand which object is faster to click. It's the big one, right? Is there anyone who thinks it's the small one? No, of course, it's obvious. But I have a quiz for you. Which point on the screen of a computer is the fastest to click with the mouse? Near the mouse. Bottom left. Top right. Well, The truth is that it's the point where the mouse currently is. Yeah, you can think of right-click, the menu, it's there, click. Okay, there are 4 more points which are very fast to click on the screen with the mouse. The corners. Why? I don't have the mouse here, but yeah, you see. Where's the mouse now? In the top right corner. Where's the mouse now? Bottom left corner. You just move it and leave it, and it stops there. And the answer the real answer to that is this. Why are you laughing? Well, this is called Fitz's law. And it says something very obvious. The time needed to reach a target depends on the distance to and size of the target. And now, why is it very fast to click the point where the mouse currently is? Because it's at 0 distance, so 0 time. Click. And why is it easy to hit the corners? Because they are indefinitely big objects. Because the corner for the screen stops here in the corner, but look at what happens with the size of the object beyond this. It's infinitely large. That's why it's easy to click. Here's another quiz for you. There, you see 2 sentences here. Which one is better? The middle? The first one. Yeah, we have 2 objects here, two links to click. Which one do you think will be easier and faster to click? The second one, yes, because of Fitz's law. Yeah? It's a bigger target.
Yes, it's a bigger target, and the sentence is just a bit more.
The second one will take more time to read. Which is the second one? The lower one will take more time to read. The long one will take more time to read, yes. Yes. Okay, you're good. Now, I have an example here. This is a form from an application, and what users do here, they fill out the form. And they finish filling out the form at the bottom, right? And what do they do next? They obviously save, right? And where's the save? It's down here in the corner. And what did the Fitz law tell us? That things that are far away are harder to click. So maybe placement below the fields where the interaction ends would be better. And if we measure this distance as x, we see that this is 7 times x. So in terms of acquiring this target, it's a very small difference, actually. But if you multiply this by millions of people and millions of interactions, it's a lot of wasting time. So Fitz's law is important because it shows us that objects that are larger and closer to the point of interaction are easier to acquire. And my piece of advice about this is use large, clickable things. Sorry. Place action buttons close to where the interaction takes place. And use the edges of the screen. They are your big targets that are very easy to hit and quick. And of course, there is a bonus here. There's this quiz about Fitz's law. It's written by one of the biggest names in the field of usability. Go to this link. I believe the presentations will be available after the event, and take the quiz. It's very informative. Okay, another quiz. I'll be giving you many quizzes today. Which is the country that used to have the largest internet population in the world? Internet population. South Korea. No. 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 And I'm speaking in past tense, and I'll tell you why. Well, the country was Afghanistan. And why? It's the first in the list of countries in the world, and when people fill out the forms, there's Afghanistan selected by default, and you just skip it. Well, Yeah, people used to have wrong defaults. Well, they also used to collect the necessary info. Now, registration forms nowadays have just email, nothing else. Yeah, we have learned over time. But I'm taking you somewhere else. The Afghanistan thing is not important. This is the ISTA site, the registration form for this event. And I want to pay attention to this field. You cannot read it, I know. I'll make it bigger. You still cannot read it. But it says, please type here yes if you agree. I would like to register for ISTA 2013 and so on and so on. What are you supposed to do here? To type yes. Okay. So you click in the field. Good, the text is still there. You can still read it. You start typing. The text disappears. And why is this a problem? Because we people do not remember. Does anybody remember what we are supposed to, why we are writing this yes here? We agree to something. What? So in order to remember, I have to delete this. Ah, yeah, okay. And now, can you remember the form? If you see the form, you filled out the whole form, and at the end you have to click OK, and you see yes in the middle. Yes? What was that? So that's not a good way. In terms of performance, that's not. So I'm taking that user interfaces have to be lightweight. They have to make sense to users. When they're fast. People perform well with them. Here's another example. This is from a real study that I've conducted a few years ago. But I wanted to pay attention here to three things, actually. This is a text area. Here appears some text that people have to read. And here are some tabs that people have to switch to in order to fill in some data. And here's a reload thingy. They have to reload in order to check whether there's new information. So we went to those people who were using this 8 hours a day and watched them using it. So what we saw is that they were like constantly moving this area here. They were like expanding this, moving it back and switching between tabs. So what we measured was that each hour a person performs 3 reloads, switches tabs 63 times, and resizes the reading area 8 times. Well, per 1 hour, this gives 8 minutes. Per month, this is 19 hours. And for 1 year, this makes 33 work days. That person's vacation is how many? 20 days. So in a team of 8 people, one of them works just to wait for the system. So there are very simple things that we did to optimize this. We expanded the reading area. We opened all the tabs so the information that people have to fill there is always visible. And we hit something that was not necessary. The menu, we moved it up. And by doing this, we saved the company, how many? 15 hours per month, per person. And the reload is a separate story. It can be addressed in different ways. So when you think of the way your interface is structured, try to match that interface to users' task. Try to match it to users' language. Remember that we people are good at recognizing, not at remembering. Try to minimize the time that users have to spend on your interface. I know it sounds counterintuitive. We want to keep people. We want them on our website. They should stay here. Why? No, on the contrary. They should come here, spend 1 minute, do their task, go, continue with what they're doing. Use meaningful defaults. You don't want everybody from Afghanistan, remember? And hide non-important things. Okay. I have another story for you. Back in 2001, there was this study that compared 10 websites. Users were asked to perform whatever they do on these websites, their personal stuff, so no 2 people performed the same thing. And at the end of the study, people were asked to rate the speed of the sites. And of course, the researchers also measure the actual speed of the websites. So what happened? Two of the websites are Amazon.com and About.com. Any guess which was the faster one? Amazon was faster. Amazon was faster. About, okay, well, we are both right. Actual speed, About.com was about 4 times, 5 times faster than Amazon. On average, About.com reacted in 8 seconds, while Amazon in 36. But users rated About.com as the slowest and Amazon as the fastest. Why is that? One click buy, yes, get your job done. Exactly. Success rate. They were successful on Amazon. And they measure that there's big correlation between perceived speed and success. When you manage to do what you're there for, you perceive the site as fast. When you don't, it's a waste of time, so it looks like a long time. So user success is very, very important. People who successfully perform their task feel that the UI is fast. So my piece of advice, well, make sure users succeed. That's it. And of course, if you have complaints that your service or site or software is slow, don't jump immediately to optimizing speed. Check whether users actually accomplish what they're there for. Another one. This is the Hipmunk website, and this screenshot shows I'm currently searching for a flight from Sofia to New York, and it's searching, and the progress indicator is this blue thingy here at the top. So what are they doing? They're showing me something to read while the search is going on. Why do they do that? They want to keep me engaged. When you are engaged in something, you don't experience time. You don't. There's no time. It's fast. So there's a quiz for you. I told you, engagement, speed. So if the elevators are slow, how do you speed them? What? Mirrors. You know the story. Yes, exactly. You install mirrors. Well, you can read the story on the internet. It's there, and it's been told in various versions. But roughly, it goes like this: there's this big business building, 30 or 60 stories tall. So people have to use the elevators, and they come in the morning and they wait there, and they're nervous because well, nobody waits. They want to work. They don't want to wait for the elevators. So they start complaining, and the management was like, well, we're using the top-notch elevators. They're as fast as technically possible. And they hired a designer. And the designer came and they spent some time there and said, okay, let's put these big mirrors, floor to ceiling. And what people started doing? While waiting, they started looking at themselves, vanity, looking at the others, curiosity, so nobody complained anymore. But you have to know your users, right? And what about nowadays? Do we really need mirrors on elevators? No? Did somebody say no? We have phones, yes. We have our own Tamagotchis, and so we can engage ourselves. It's quite easy. Another quiz. Why is streaming video successful? You don't have to wait. Yes, you're engaged right away. It starts right away. That's why. Compare it to, yeah, you have to download it first. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. So you're waiting. And streaming video, that's instant. Okay. So my piece of advice for keeping users engaged, well, try not to interrupt their flow. Hello. And give them something to do while they're waiting. That's it. Now, I have this button. Well, imagine that this is a button on some interface, and I click it now. Click.
There is no loading.
No loading? Huh? No, it's ready, right? Okay. Now, again. Okay. Click. Is this better? You see progress?
Yes, but the user is not engaged though as your, as you said before, it's some kind of preloader there, but the user
Well, we're not engaged. Yes, we are not engaged. But we see something, right? And okay, I have one more. Okay, again, click. Well, you saw three different things. Like, which was the fastest?
the third one.
The third one was the fastest.
Yeah, the two of them was the exact same speed, but the third one gives the user experience to be quite fast.
Exactly. Yes, you have a good eye. The time was exactly the same. 10 seconds. 10 seconds from click to appear, put to this check mark to appear. But the third one gave the impression that it happened quickly. And why was that? Well, because we people perceive time in a non-linear fashion. So in the beginning, we know we have to wait. But as time passes, we start to become more impatient and more impatient. So some researchers conducted a study, and they found out that if we show a progress indicator and we speed it at the end, we perceive the time in a less unobtrusive way. So it seems faster. So when you indicate progress, always do indicate progress in some way. Don't just give the white screen. And use an indicator that speeds up at the end. Now, one more. The two shapes here. Do you have preference for one of them? Let's take a vote here. Who goes for the right one? You're right. You're right. No, you're... Okay, left one. And for the right one? Not sure which was more, but okay. You should have picked that one. And I think more people picked that one because of its proportions. The left one has nice geometric proportions, 3:6, which is 2:1. And the right one has this strange 2.79. Yeah, it's not a nice whole figure. And there's this guy from Russia, Vlad Golovac, who says, well, we perceived objects that have nice geometric or natural proportions as harmonic, thus beautiful. So we are more likely to like shapes that are 1:1, 1:2, 1:3, or 1 to 1.618, which is the golden ratio, or 1 to the pi number. We like those more than random dimensions. We feel them like more beautiful. I don't know why, it's something in our heads. There's another story, telling machines. I guess all of you have used the telling machine. But there was this study. They had two identical telling machines running the same software. One of them was beautiful, the other one was ugly. Guess what? People who used the beautiful one performed better than the people who used the ugly one. Strange. But the truth is that beautiful things improve performance. We are better, we perform better with things that we like. And there's another story. This research, they had 4 versions of a website, like beautiful, good usability, ugly, good usability, beautiful, bad usability, and ugly and bad usability. So what happened is they found out that beauty compensates for poor usability. That means that the people who used the same website, like the beautiful website with poor usability, were more successful than the people who used the ugly website with poor usability. nice looking, good looking, will perform better. And think about it. When you're with somebody you like, somebody, yeah, you go on a date and you like your partner, you perform better, don't you? So think about appearance. My piece of advice then will be, work with a visual designer. These people know their skill. They're very good at that. Observe the proportions. I guess the visual designer will know them anyway. And try to make things beautiful. I know that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. That something that's beautiful for me might not be beautiful for you. But of course, you have your target audience, you know your users, so go ahead, show it to your users, and then. So as a recap, I want you to remember that performance has a soft side. And we talked about several things. Text and formatting. Well-formatted texts are better, easier to read and understand. So we perform better. Fitz's law, right? Remember, big objects, closer to where we are. Layout and structure. Think about the way you put the controls on your interface and how you structure interfaces. Make sure users are successful. Make sure that they have something to do while waiting. Speed up your progress indicators towards the end and make things beautiful. I'm sure that this is not everything that's about soft performance. There are many more things. I'm sure that you know some of them. You'll find out about others. Well, if you do and want to talk, I'll be glad to. And I'm ready to take your questions now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need a microphone. I'm loud enough. One of the recent studies says that. Okay, hi Jimmy. One of the recent studies says that familiarity impacts human perception of performance. Have you had any experience with that?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And yes, I do have experience with this on a daily basis. When this morning, the opening speech, it was like one of the examples. Actually, all the examples that were shared there were usability things, and it was like they got 7,000 phone calls because they moved the button or hit the button. That's familiarity. Yeah, it's not no more familiar, so they cannot perform with the interface. So yes, familiarity is important. Yeah, there's a question there.
Does the font type and font family impact the user experience? And what's the best font that we should use?
I can answer the first part of the question and cannot answer the second part of the question. Yes, font type and font size, they do influence performance. They do influence human experience, user experience. Well, there is a big study about fonts. The way it looks, the font, if it's beautiful, it acts in one way. I'm not an expert on fonts, but the short answer is yes. I cannot give you the details why. So, and the second part, which is the best for what? There is different fonts that can be used in different contexts. So you have to know first what this font is going to be used, and then go with the font. And again, here my advice would be go to a visual designer. They will know what font to recommend. And of course, if you don't have a visual designer, go with the default. Other questions? One more. So two more, and let's take these two and close the session.
Hello. Do you know by experience or by some sources what are the best colors for background and foreground for readability?
For reading?
Yes.
As far as I know, the best background for reading is the color of parchment. It's yellowish, dark yellowish, old paper, the color of old paper.
It actually should be white font on a blue background.
I
By
don't know.
colorimetry.
I don't know what they are citing, but from studies that I've read, this is black font on, yeah, this darkish thing. I don't know the name of the color.
Okay, thank you.
But good contrast is important. And there was that one there.
On the point that beauty is more important than usability, it improves soft performance more. So can you make a distinguish, like give an example of the two? How can we distinguish between?
Well, that's easy. Beautiful is beautiful, and something is beautiful. I can have, think of some object that is beautiful. You can have many such that you like it. Yeah, it's very good. And then you go to the shop and buy it. It's so beautiful. And then you have to use it. And how do I use this? I cannot use it. I guess most of you have had this experience. It's very nice looking. It's very shiny, well packaged. This is beautiful, right? And then when you have to use it, you don't know how to use it, or it's clumsy or so. So usability is a characteristic of your experience while using the product. And beauty is, as I said, is not directly related. It boosts usability. It only adds to usability. But they're different things. I don't know whether I was clear enough.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day.